Okay, so welcome back. This is video number 7, and we're going to talk about automating your tasks. The whole goal of this is to try to eliminate as much of you spending time on repetitive tasks that could be automated. And that could be automated by a computer, by a different software application, and basically things that can just speed up your time. So it's kind of a mix of automation and semi-automation. So I'm going to cover a few things. Then I'm going to go to the browser and actually show you actual tools that I personally use to automate things. And whereas rather than spending 5-6 hours on things, I no longer, spend time on certain things. As long as they're repetitive, they're easier to automate. If they're not repetitive, it's a little bit harder to automate. So moving on. Since we live in a generation where technology is just getting bigger and better, it's really, really easy to automate almost everything or semi-automate it or speed things up is the concept and the idea. I remember back in the day, before they had Windows, 3.1 and things like that, where, you had to do everything by hand. But fortunately for you, you can really automate things. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back to your list of activities or work process flow and see which ones that you can automate or even try to find ways to automate them. So if you're unsure, don't worry about it. Watch till the end of this specific video so you can get some ideas and then try to go back and automate things, before you actually move on to the next video. So here are some examples of things that you can automate or even semi-automate. The first is sorting, filtering, deleting, archiving emails by using email rules. Email rules are popular, especially like in Gmail and big email companies. Yahoo does have some as well, but I would say Gmail has a ton of these different email rules. So you can actually specify all emails that come from this email address. I create a specific filter for it, and you can tell it to either archive it, delete it, send it to a specific folder, and this and that. So there are many things that you can use within Gmail itself. In fact, I personally use Gmail, and Gmail has made a huge difference in my life because it also allows you to really centralize all of your emails. So let's say, for example, that you have 10 different websites with 10 different emails. Back in the day, I remember still checking all those 10 different emails every single day, and that just took a lot of time. Nowadays, what you can do is you can actually add all of those different emails into Gmail. So what happens is nobody really knows that you're using Gmail. Let's say, for example, that they email you at your name at, let's say, yourdomain1.com. And then somebody else emails you at your name at yourdomain2 or 3 or 4.com. Now, you can actually set it up within Gmail so that you can email out from those email addresses. So if somebody were to email you from number 1 and email you number 1, you can actually reply to that email, and you can actually, it'll actually look like you're replying from that particular email. So rather than checking 10 different emails, you're now just using a simple Gmail account. Now, Gmail does have a specific limit as to how many emails that you can have. So just keep that in mind. But it just makes life a lot easier. Plus, you can do all these sorting, filtering, deleting, archiving, email, and things like that. Now, I'm not going to go into depth on that because there's a lot to cover. But as far as utilizing that, just go to Google and type in how to add emails to your Gmail account. So if you go there and you simply, type this in, you will get the following. And very, very easy. It says first change your settings. So you go to the top right hand corner, you click on that gear, you click on settings, and then all you have to do is select settings, select forwarding, and pop I'm at tab and then all you have to do is add your email. That's all you have to do. Once it's said and done, you can simply centralize all your emails within that Gmail account, and then you can make it so that any email that comes in gets sent to a specific folder or a label. So you can really categorize things if you would like. So Gmail is free, so use that to your advantage. Now, going back over to here, the second thing you can do when it comes to business automation and time management, you can set canned responses to your help desk support. One thing I found over the years is that a lot of people ask the same questions. And back in the day, I didn't really have a help desk and I didn't really have canned messages. So what ended up happening was I was just spending time and time again answering the same question, but maybe in a slightly different way. Now I have tons of canned responses tweaked for different scenarios and things like that. Now, there are specific help desk support ticket sites that you could use. You could use Zendesk. One that I would highly recommend that I use is called freshdesk.com. And you can check out their pricing, but overall, I would say Freshdesk is awesome and amazing because in addition to that, you can actually do automation. So you can have dispatch rules and say stuff like, okay, any email that has this specific word, this will happen. It will get assigned to a specific person, or, this specific message or this specific category will get assigned to this person, or maybe somebody fills out a form and it gets sent to help desk. That particular form creates a help desk ticket, and that ticket will basically, get added to this specific person, and then it will respond, some message will get sent or something. So that's a nice thing about Freshdesk is you can do that. You can have dispatch rules, you can have supervisor rules, and basically dispatch is, as you know, like if you call 911, for example, they'll dispatch you, and so forth. So they'll actually do dispatch, they'll call the police or the fire department and so forth and so forth. So it's kind of like having your automated dispatch person using Freshdesk. And you have to really look into other help desk softwares. I haven't really seen a lot of softwares that can do that. Zendesk might be able to do that, but you'll really have to look into that and make sure that you do your own due diligence beforehand before you actually jump right in. Then, of course, you want to think about the mundane stuff. We all have bills to pay. Even though that's not something that might be related to your career or business or anything like that, it's still something that's mundane and that needs to be automated if all possible. So if you can put yourself on a monthly draft or monthly recurring payment plan where they just take money out of your bank account, that's going to make life easier because that's going to help you save, at least 5 to 10 minutes. Because realistically, you're probably going to be spending about 15 minutes or less. And that 15 minutes could be spent on something else. So whether you got the electric bill, the cable bill, the water bill, the trash bill, whatever other bills, that could add up, up to about an hour. So rather spending all that time, you're really automating all these mundane tasks. So don't just think about the big tasks, think about the little tasks that take a long time. Next, you want to set up recurring calendar events, and you can easily do that if you have something like Google Calendar or even an iPhone or even whatever smartphone that you have. Generally speaking, there's a little option or feature on there where you can actually set it to recur. So that's something that you want to do if it's an ongoing thing. In addition to that, let's say, for example, that you use Twitter and Facebook for business or even for leisure. If that's the case, what you can do is you can actually automate Twitter and Facebook posts. Now, when it comes to Facebook posts, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you can actually automate the Facebook post if you have a fan page. So you can actually go in and schedule in advance the Facebook posts. Now, before I move to video 8, I want to talk about some tools that I use. So I talked about Freshdesk, that was one, and that was really, really powerful. There's another one called Zapier, And the nice thing about this is it connects the apps you use, automates tasks so that you can save time. Now, they're basically integrated into many, many different types of apps, some popular apps like Dropbox, Evernote, and things like that. So you can actually make it where every time you create an Evernote note, it will copy itself into Dropbox, and you can actually automate a lot of these. So as you can see, there's a lot of pre-made what we call zaps, and you can connect apps. So for example, you can save Gmail attachments to Dropbox, and you can automate the whole thing. So every time you do it, it happens. Or you can use Zapier to share tweets or automate your tweets. You can create Trello cards weekly. You can do all sorts of things. So as you can see, you can send RSS feeds for profiles or RSS feeds to all sorts of different platforms as well. So literally you can search over 400 different apps and explore them, integrate them, and automate them together. So that's the power of Evernote. So if you take a look at here, you can actually try to find popular apps. So you can find Google Spreadsheets. Let's say, for example, you want it so that every time you create a Google spreadsheet, maybe it adds to your calendar and then adds Evernote and so forth and so forth and so forth. You can actually do all of these, which is so amazing. You can automate stuff, Facebook pages and Gmail and forms and all these different types of things, Google Tasks and things like that. So there's 400, and they're constantly adding tons and tons of things that you can fully automate. Now, there's another tool that I use called Jitbit, and you can download the free trial, I do believe. But this is really, to be honest, one of the most powerful pieces of software. Now, this is called a macro, and macro recorder basically automates routine tasks like, me having to click, 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 click. So let's say, for example, I'm recording and I'm editing. One thing that I have to do when it comes to editing and rendering and things like that are certain tasks. So you can actually create macros. Now, as you can see, what this means is I can tell the mouse to click on like maybe open or click new and then save as and enter specific items, or I can get this to do certain things that are repetitive. Now, it has to be repetitive. Just keep that in mind. So you can do the same thing. If let's say in the morning you get up, you go to Gmail, you open Gmail, and you go to a specific folder. Now, while that doesn't take a whole lot of time, that might take a couple minutes. So you can program Jitbit to do all that, and you can press a little key and it'll actually go do that. Now, let's say, for example, that you find yourself doing a repetitive task. Now, there's a little secret of mine, but before, back in the day when I had the day job and stuff like that, there's certain things in my day job that I had to do repetitively. Now, repetitively, it would take several, minutes just to do those specific tasks for those specific projects. So I had all these, macros set up. So all I had to do is click a button and it will actually do it for me. And people will be like, wow, you did it so fast. How do you do this so fast? Like, this is crazy. And what they didn't realize is I was using these macro recorders. And that's the beauty of it, is if you can automate it, there's nothing, it's nothing related to it's not cheating. It's just like you're actually automating it and speeding it up and being able to do more work. So, if your boss finds out about this, then great. Of course, I'm not going to be held reliable, but at the same time, you can be like, hey, look, I'm speeding it up. I finished the task. I can take more work. And guess what? The boss is going to give you more work if that's the case, and they're just going to love you. And you might get promoted and so forth. Now, if you run a business, on the other hand, this is something that you definitely want to do. And you definitely want to automate as much as repetitive stuff as much as possible. Because a lot of repetitive stuff can take 3, 4, 5 hours. And you've spent all that time just doing the same mundane stuff. You get rid of that, you speed it up, you got more time to spend on other tasks. And you can be more productive, more efficient. Your business is going to do a lot better. You can give this to your team Your team can use it. It's going to make their lives a lot easier and faster. They're going to be able to feel like they're accomplishing a lot of different type of stuff. So those are the different tools that I use and definitely help automate a lot of stuff. So with that said, let's move on to the next video.